of us as intellectuals, thinkers, dreamers, and so on, think of an apocalyptic moment where out of the negotiation, something will be emerged which embodies the spirit and frustrations and aspirations of everybody, emerges into a constitution immediately, which is the best in the world, that resolves all ethnic, racial, and any other problems there, then, and so on. I think if anything happens, it will be a process and a long process before that is achieved. You can disagree with me. Also, on the other hand, my non-sociological hat, I feel, affinity with what, for instance, Mete is trying to do about various nostalgias by certain Turkish Cypriots about the encaged life of the Nicosians or the Lefkosia people, and their subtle disdain against all these others who are there. So it's a perverse nostalgia in a sense, and thinking about it, the nostalgia perhaps of my childhood in the 50s in Limassol is impossible. I cannot construct it because already it's been damaged. Very difficult to find that moment of nostalgic innocence because it absents the whole community that was there, and my childhood thought it was insignificant, and life moved on towards conflicts. So, however much we look at it, whether at the level of imagination, at the level of analysis, it is going to be hard. But it is not about, at the moment, about conflict resolution, and it is not about peace. Okay. Now, what are they? What are the issues? Firstly, ethnicity, or a sense of ethnic belonging, exists. It is fluid, it is changing, it is a floating signifier, but damn it always floats, it doesn't go away. Okay, so in these days of identity, politics, and so on, forms of ethnicity will increase. It is important. Language immediately will make it appear there. But reifying it as the most important thing about constructing a society will not be the only issue, because there are more differences, tensions, and conflicts within those ethnicities, and more similarities across segments of the two communities, and there are between them. No, that's wrong formulation. What I wanted to say is that there are more differences within communities than there are across them in certain instances. The second point is that, yes, of course, issues, stratification, class are very important. I have not met anybody, the majority of those who would have called in the old Marxist analytical days the bourgeoisies of the respective communities, who have a real vested interest in terms of the solution, because a lot of the world is contingent on existing relations of power and distribution of resources, and most of them are doing very well, thank you, apart from some pioneers that are moving across. There is more formal solidarity between working people, but at the same time we must understand that the success and the mobility that has been experienced in both communities, there's been a lag in terms of the Turkish Cypriot community, but the mobility is there now and very, very active. All that mobility was based, tragically, first phase on the back of refugees who were dispossessed. Now it is contingent on migrant, immigrant, legal or illegal workers who are out there, and most Cypriots are bossing people around at the moment. And there is more. So there are all kinds of solidarities that could be possibly established across the real or imaginary divides, but those solidarities might be discriminating against others who might be made scapegoats for internal things. So issues of class and so on, stratification are important, could be fault lines Thirdly, refugee genome still matters. And as we heard yesterday, it increasingly matters also for the Turkish community, Turkish Cypriot community, as much as the Greek Cypriot community now, because there are certain implications whether you identify yourself as a refugee or not. That's what we heard yesterday afternoon. I'm not an expert on that, but refugee genome matters. It creates a structure of feeling that although others who have not experienced it but sympathize with it, it will take time to heal. Furthermore, we all know that the family is very, very, very important across the divide, but because it's so important, it's very difficult to say how important it is. Yes, it reproduces all our socializations and everything, and we all love our immediate and extended families, but it sociologically becomes a bit difficult because fascist families produce little fascists, and other families produce other creatures, and this family produces this or that. So it's more nuanced than family about what is going on. But one thing that is particularly important is that if you take the 1950s, average children, say the Turkish Cypriot household was 6.2, the Greek Cypriot household 3.4. Now Turkish Cypriot families are more secular than Greek Cypriot families. And so there is a higher level of secularization that has occurred among Turkish Cypriots than among Greek Cypriots. So the whole household has moved towards more kind of a peculiar way of it being nuclear and yet being extended at the same time. Gender, of course, it's vital and important, and the mobility of women across the barricade or the barbed wire, whatever you want to call it, what's the politically correct term, has been enormous. And again, it's been enormous at a pain, some others had to look after the traditional roles of what women were supposed to be. And there are other forms of discrimination and snobbery that are arising in the Cypriot society in very interesting ways. Okay, and then we all know that the other problem is a political problem, because politics are not textbook politics. We see, because the textbooks are wrong, they haven't studied political parties, and perhaps some countries are too big for it to be invisible. But I bet you if you studied British politics, you would find that in their more upper-class families, a relationship between party and opposition is quite close. Okay, but it disappeared because Britain is a big country. Here, yes, you're born into parties, you're treated as family. It is almost kind of very traumatic to move political positions, So the language of parties is filled with familiarism. Because todos. Okay, so there is a lot of stuff happening there that it's difficult to get the parties out of their historical traumas at this stage in time that constituted them, and it is also a social issue. I see a lot about education being important. We're dealing with two highly educated communities. Highly educated communities. Look at the Human Development Index of the UNDP. You'll be surprised how educated you are and how smart you should be. Okay? By implication, it's certain here on the right. So media bias, we'll shout about the media, it's biased. People watch too much TV and they don't read anymore, and so on and so forth. It's a global phenomenon. It takes particular form in both communities, where there is a culture of, people love to moan and complain. I haven't found the analysis that explicates that, but I have no idea. I have carried this in my travels as well to South Africa, and people say, where did you get all the moaning in you? Deep cultural, quasi-genetic kind of ability to moan about everything. if we around here so clever and and the media is biased, so what do we listen to? So what's the issue? So okay, I don't think media is that problem. Okay, media is expresses problems, but it is not the problem. Then, of course, Cypriots are peripatetic and they are connected, and there are more Cypriots than outside Cyprus than there are in Cyprus, and those diasporic communities become very important in times of transition and very important in definitions of identity, nationalism, home, and other things as we find in other, also in other parallel studies. So in other words, don't ignore the various diasporas. But you're well exposed into the world, come on, there's more tourists than locals at the moment. But xenogoria, whatever you are, xenobusiness, doesn't necessarily mean xenophilia. In other words, it doesn't necessarily translate immediately into tolerance or friendship to others, perhaps to others' persons, but not to other hearts. So anyway, but it's not as if it's highly globalized, inverted commas, by any definition, society. And religion, people say, might be a problem. I don't think so. There are very serious religious trends in the Greek Cypriot community, but I've seen analysis. You understand what is being played there. It's not. And yes, the church plays a decisive role in the south, provided people are available for that decisiveness. And it plays a role that I don't think is as important as people think. And kind of just running through all kinds of sociological kind of possible issues. Even people in our study that we did, kind of people experienced traumas during the various violence who were perpetrators or victims, are not necessarily closed towards issues of coexistence. So let's forget about that. Who we should worry about is younger generations who have been socialized through the public constructions of the traumas that happened in the past, and they are, in a sense, more distant than their parents in terms of any of the other across the border. So in short, any transition, long transition, will all of a sudden create new parameters for all these sociological patterns to play themselves out. Okay, so it will be, for example, perhaps in 25 years' time, there will be a nostalgia about the barbed wire. But it will be a good thing for me because it would have been gone. Okay? And nevertheless, tensions and conflicts patterned by social parameters can emerge if people are not vigilant, if people want to go that way. And it's these precise categories that we're talking about that polarizations might, and other sociologists I will say, will happen. In conclusion, there's only two simple ways out. It is when large numbers in both communities decide that the past was regrettable and therefore are ready open to do something about it. And secondly, if those in power whom you have elected somehow, and those in power manage to get some parameters going towards some change, the rest follows. What is intended is never the result. Something happens. But if we're careful and sensitive social analysts and understand how how societies work, then people will be able to manage